Joel the prophet warned of the coming destruction of locusts. Joel, kind of like the father of Superman, Joel, in the way that the prophet Joel is talking about a locust swarm coming to destroy a green place. All their vegetation is getting ready to be destroyed by this approaching swarm of locusts, this approaching swarm of grasshoppers. Grasshoppers, interesting animal. It was the diet, said to be the diet of John the Baptist. He ate that and wild honey. So what a prophet eats is the same thing that can destroy an entire nation and destroy their entire produce if they're not careful. The things that a person who is inspired by absolute power and the spirit of love and harmony that we call God, what a person consumes who is dominated by that particular spirit, that same kind of substance can devour an entire assembly line and distribution center of something that is opposite to that or foreign to that, if it tends to be opposed to that. So if it's resisting this God force, this love force, then whatever the prophet takes on, whatever the prophet hears, can be signs of impending doom. So these locusts, what they do is eat whatever is green. They eat whatever is growing. For us, the green thing is money. So whatever kind of losses we suffer, whatever kind of setbacks, whatever kind of financial crises, the locusts got it. The locusts are sent to eat the green thing. You can't see them, but they're there. They're grasshoppers. I think also known as praying mantis too. These are creatures that hop and fly and eat with their hands folded. These are creatures, I believe, that even rub their hands before they eat. You have creatures that do that. So can you say wild animals are really uncivilized? Some of these animals really wash their hands before they eat. Like squirrels and stuff, they really wash their hands before they eat. So these locusts, again, is any kind of devouring force. And Joel even saw it further into revelatory territory where you have the horsemen of the apocalypse sending that 200 million soldier army with the fire outfits and the scorpion tails and the lion faces on the horses that breathe out fire. All of these things were also connected to the locust vision too. You have this depiction where he talks about before they advance, you see Eden. After they advance, you see a wasteland. You see a desert. So the kind of force that devours your resources, we want to be careful of. It doesn't have to be just the resources of money. There could be things that are still the resource of your time, like a swarm of locusts. They'll devour whatever productivity you had left in your time. It can be things of that nature, or it can be attacks just on a mind-to-mind level. You might have somebody who disagrees with you in a way where they want to push their belief on you instead of understanding your viewpoint and adding on and seeing how it correlates to their own. The locusts. This same prophet, though, however, albeit he saw the impending vision of doom and the destruction of crops, he also was the one that talked about in the last days, the Spirit falling on all people, with men and women prophesying, with people prophesying, every human being being able to prophesy, talking about old men dreaming dreams and young men seeing visions. So you also have that. So what that means is that even though you have locusts, even though you have a destructive force that can tear down resources in society, you also have a prophetic remnant. You also have a section of visionaries who are designed to build civilizations. That is their purpose. Where you may not have been relevant 10 years ago with your ideas, you might be the beginning of the new world right now with those same ideas that were rejected before. because things work in timing. That's why it's always good, again, going to the scriptures, to be instant, in season and out of season. That means when you're in demand or not in demand, you're ready. You're practiced. You're a well-oiled machine. You live what you're about. Whatever that may be, you live what you're about. So it's never a mode that you have to get in. It's never a type of energy that you have to get into in order to bear it, to release it. This is more unfolding of the rose petals, of the bleeding heart of compassion. The cross really being a symbol of a man with arms stretched out to either side of him to reach who's ever on the right of him, who's ever on the left of him. Let's connect. A symbol like that, a lowercase t. Even if you don't have a belief system, this is what this can represent. And the rose, the bleeding. So you have this compassion that is coupled with wisdom that dominates the spirit of what is called the rose ones, or the rose cross. It's a different lane to understand things esoterically. I'm fortunate for all higher power responsible for giving me an esoteric soul. I came here looking at life different and trying to always look at the deepest of interpretations. My favorite gifts as childhood was books and things to write and draw with. No matter what Nintendo came out, no matter what sneakers, the first thing at the top of my list for birthday, Christmas, or whatever was something to write with and something to read. That was my and is my natural desire. I don't draw anymore. I paint the pictures through music, so it's kind of been transmuted because I didn't really have the patience anymore for drawing. It just took too long to go through a picture. Good pictures, but it just felt like it took too long. Interesting enough, speaking of the Locusts, a lot of outfits that I drew as a child, I ended up wearing later in life, very similar to stuff I drew at 8 and 9 years old. I find myself wearing at 29 and 39. Had no idea that was going on at 9. But again, the spirit of prophecy has fallen on all flesh. Doesn't matter your nationality, your skin color, how much education you have. That has nothing to do with that. The spirit that is absolute power, that governs all, creates all, is in all, working through all, confirms itself in its allness through being able to do this through you. You are the light and the bearer of your light. You're both. You're the light of the world, and you have to bear that light of the world that you are. And that's treading into interesting territory, how we talk about how Lucifer and Christ are terminologies. We can get into that in another video, perhaps. We won't get into that here, but the main thing about this locust lesson is, regardless of what society looks like all around you, what the news says, how things are being different, implemented different, still be encouraged and still have those bright thoughts, because you're part of the new world that's coming if the old world is ending.